4:30, we'll call this meeting to order. A roll call.
Commissioner Bunting. Here. Commissioner Gay.
Here.
Commissioner Owens.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Bailey is absent.
All righty. Tim, would you give us the invocation?
Dear Heavenly Father, you're so good to us. Please be with us as we discuss county issues and do your will. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ready. Do you have any additions? We have one addition to the.
we do. We have one addition of building dedication for the central sketch. So if we can add that to K1.
Would be K3.
K1. We'll put them first before Chris and me.
Right. Anything else? Need a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and supported. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Any brief public comment? Anybody online? Come right up here and tell us your name and.
Sure. Okay. My name is Helen Soderberg. I'm a resident of Ithaca. And with that, I had previously reached out to Mr. Bailey, but it actually has to do with me serving on the Parks and Recreation Commission and the total disregard for my religious beliefs in my respect as a person shown to me by that chair. I'm asking for your help in resolving this situation because I'm not pleased with the way the chair has handled it. I've tried to handle it on my own. He treats this invocation as it's a regular part of the meeting. We are going to say this prayer. We are going to discuss the budget. So there's no differentiation between those that are, participating in the prayer and those that are discussing the budget. And that's exactly what I wanted to talk to him about, because for my religious beliefs, being told where, when, and how to pray are an antithesis. And I did attempt to just talk to him about this. And what happened is I went up to him after a meeting and I said, I would like to discuss with you the way that you handle this invocation. So I'm facing him. Imagine that, I'm facing him here. And his reaction was this. He raised his hand like this, and which I interpret as a dismissive gesture. He turned around. He says, I'm not going to discuss this with you. And he walked out the door. And I'm not happy that I have to accept that because this is a secular meeting. It's not a private chapel. It has been the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals in 2017 did support opening monthly meetings with Christian prayers and asking audience members to join. And that's just the point. They're asking members to join. They're not telling them to join. And I think that, very much that Yost has a rather, bombastic measure, I don't want to sound like I'm personalizing it, but I know when I talked to Chris, he used another term. Maybe I could use that term. But they did uphold that. However, the dissenting judge, Karen Nelson Moore, accused the majority of extending constitutional protections to a practice that excludes non-Christians from the prayer opportunity and expresses disgust at people who voice a different opinion. And I certainly felt that I was treated not with respect. I was treated with disgust. I don't know how if someone did that to you, oh, Helen, you're just misinterpreting what he meant. He walked away from me and said he would not discuss it with me. I think that for him refusing to speak with me shows a disrespect to my religious beliefs, to me as a member of that commission, and also to me as a person. My attempt to have a meaningful conversation with him was met with contempt.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Matt, you have anyone?
Nope, there's not anybody connected in right now.
All righty. A consideration of the consent calendar. Anything you want to pull out of there? Okay, we need approval of consent calendar.
Approval.
Support.
Improve the port, this consent calendar, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Commissioners meeting, their minutes. And we're going to communication. When did you get the wrong sheet? Administrative report, I missed you.
All right, we have lost a department head this month. Veterans Affairs Director is taking a new position up in Grayling. He has only been with us for probably about a month in this position, but having spoke with him about the new job offer that he has, I don't blame him at all. It sounds like it will be a lot of fun what he'll be doing up there in Greeley. So while we wish Chuck all the best, we do have the position posted and we are actively recruiting for a new Veterans Affairs Director. Next board meeting, we do plan on presenting a significant portion of the budget, including the majority of the general fund, if not all of it, along with the capital projects that we would like to work on next year. Highlighting new projects for the next fiscal year. We're going to be looking at starting to replace some of the windows in the courthouse, as the majority of them, if not all of them, are extremely drafty. You know, a lot of people in my office will wear their jackets during the wintertime with the windows that face the west side. We're going to look at that. And another big project that we're going to begin will be replacing the sheriff radio scanners for the vehicles, as some of the cars have scanners that are getting up there in age. We've replaced the computers. We have replaced the handheld radio sets in the last 3 to 4 years. The scanner equipment is what's next in line, so we'll be looking for a portion of funding for that. Capital projects this year, a quick update, the bell tower has not been ringing for quite some time now. We were able to locate an expert and bring him in, and he assures us that he'll be able to fix it within the next 6 weeks. It's just one of those things when we have one of the last bell towers operating in the state. We do like to keep that up and going. Our insurance company has agreed to replace the affected HVAC systems at the health department. For a while there, we were scared that they were going to continue to replace the parts as the parts failed, but they have taken the advice of the contractors that we have hired, and they are going to replace the HVAC systems that were affected by the lightning. Road Patrol and Corrections have completed their union change to the Capital City Labor Program. We are settling on negotiation dates now, as soon as starting next week. So we will be up and going with that again. The Gratiot County Central Dispatch has also unionized with CCLP. So Sheila and I will be assisting the authority with those negotiations. The land bank creation deadline was met. So I get to adjust what I was doing here. We got some emails just probably about an hour ago that Terry was able to get the paperwork into the state. And they have assured Terry that we met the deadline for the $500,000 in project funding for the next 2 years. So that was a success.
I thought that was 750.
500.
Like you're thinking, so.
No, we can ask them, you know, we can
What,
ask.
what,
them.
didn't Jim talk about 750 or something?
I don't,
Oh,
I don't think so. I think it was
I
a,
mean, I dreamt them.
we have held our first community opioid resources collaboration in relations to the Gratiot County opioid settlement. The goal for this group was to identify services provided in areas that needed improvement. The areas of improvement then would be recommended to the board for use of the settlement funds. I do have an agenda item for this coming up, so I'll talk about that more. But just to add to that, this morning, Mac had reached out to me and asked if we would present at the next local government learning community on opioid settlements. Mac was in attendance at this local meeting, and they were very pleased with the approach that we took. And I said we will talk about that a little bit more unless you have questions right now, but that wraps up my administrator report.
Who's leaving?
The Veteran Affairs Director.
He's just tired.
Are you gonna hire someone soon?
We have the job posted and we have it advertised in multiple areas. So as soon as we can hire someone, that is what we would do. No, we do not have any candidates right now, if that's what you're asking.
How often does, if the bell, the tower is in service, when does it ring? Or
Every hour.
every hour?
Yep. So one ring for 1 o'clock, 2 for 2, 3 for 3.
No, it doesn't ring at all.
Right now, it is not functioning. The clock is functioning, but the bell isn't ringing when it's at the hour.
It hasn't for some time.
It's been probably 6 months, I would think. It's,
But it does ring on a half.
Half hour to 1 day.
but not right now. Okay.
Not right now.
Anything else for Chris? Thank you. So we're moving to K, and this will be the building.
The commissioner reports.
Oh, the commissioner report. Let's get new glasses here. I see that. Commissioner reports.
Well, last week I did go to the Emerson Township meeting and the Arcata Township meeting. It's, they talked about Granger, the trash pickup.
Mhm.
Emerson County wants to, if I understand it right, they want to pay everybody in Emerson Township garbage bill or greatly reduce what we pay. And I think, I'm recommending bringing, I think I pay $105 every 3 months, so that'd be $35 a month for them to weekly pick up the garbage. But anyway, they're talking about that, and then Arcata, I think, is different. They're bullied some people into taking Granger, and they don't want to, or something like that, and they're gonna have a meeting.
Changing trash people or something?
What?
Changing trash companies possibly, or
Yeah.
giving a contract to somebody else?
Emerson doesn't have trash pickup right now, so it'd be independent people that
Oh,
have trash pickup and they're gonna go township wide, similar to Bethany and.
Oh,
Sam.
Bethany.
Anything else, Tim?
No, I guess.
Hey,
I went to Seville last week. They're still pretending that they're gonna have a fire hall with their new township hall. And I watched the Northern Michigan County Association yesterday on Zoom. They talked quite a bit about the opioid settlement. And today, I spent a good part of it in your district watching the wind turbine go up. It's kind of
Watching what?
a wind turbine go up.
A wind turbine.
It's kind of cool. That's it.
Jan?
Yes, I had one meeting, Bethany Township. And it was kind of a short meeting. And that's all I've had this week or this last couple of weeks.
Okay, myself and any meetings, I had a couple of people call about the taxes that had come out and that you could do this thing with our county apparently. They thought we were the county. They asked me if the county was selling tax protection or if you get your taxes like lifted stealing or whatever you do on TV. And so I said, geez, I don't know, I haven't looked my tax bill yet. So I pulled it out, and so I did call the register of deeds and talked to them, and it was something in our new program. We had just bought apparently a new program, and it covers that. So if you have a deed change, or your name pops up someplace, our county will contact you through this thing that's in our program within 2 days to let you know that something has changed on your tax, on your property or whatever, if you didn't transfer. And to notify you, and apparently you're notified by somebody out of Iowa on it. And so I did call these constituents back and tell them, no, we're not offering that as a service or for sale, but it is a service that we have in our system. That's really about it. Okay. We're to K1. And this gentleman here speaking.
Yep.
Dave, I'm sorry, I don't know his last name. I guess we've not met him. You're the 911? Yeah, okay. Well, this is our first meeting.
Good morning. Oh, this afternoon, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what time it is, actually. My name's Dave Rappus. I'm the new Gratiot County Central 911 Director. This is week number 4 for me, moving forward. So I wanted to come introduce myself to you today so you can put a name with the face. Also invite you out to see the 911 center and meet the people out there. They'd really like to know who is the board members are, and I've done that with the authority as well. So if you could do that, I do have a for each of you. If there's any problem you have, please feel free to contact me.
Thank you.
I'm with 911 or not 911, mobile medical response. We have a meeting next month, so I'll make sure that you get the paperwork on it.
Okay, great. I actually came from MMR. I was there for almost 15 years. As the dispatch supervisor and quality assurance guy. So I've been involved in public safety for over 30 years since graduating from high school between these fire and EMS jobs. So I'll make you all proud, and we're going to make the center a really good center. I come today, if you're not aware of it, Mark Duflo, who was the original director of Gratiot County 911 back when he was at the sheriff's office as a corrections deputy dispatch director, has announced his retirement after 40 years. And as of yesterday, he added 2 more months to it. So by the time he's done serving us in your community, he'll have been here for 40 years and 6 months in a capacity as a director. He works the floor now. He picks up overtime. He's training me in some of the new aspects that I'm learning over the job. And I thought it would be fitting. I understand that the county owns the building and that the dispatch authority leases that building from you. So with all his dedication and time that he's put in over the last 40 years, I'd like to ask you to name the building the Mark W. Duflo Communications Center, and have that put on the outside of the building to show appreciation for his commitment to the community of Gratiot and the people of Gratiot County.
So move.
Or
Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Great, thank you. We'll have an open house in September when we unveil it for him and his family, and we'll make sure you're all invited out there to see it.
Yeah, great. Yeah, nice to meet you.
You too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Ready. Chris? The opioid?
Yeah, okay, so revisiting the opioid resource team meeting that we had a week and a half ago. The sheriff was there with us. We also had representatives from Gratiot Integrated Health Network, Division in Child Advocacy, the Gratiot County Substance Abuse Suicide Prevention Coalition. The Gratiot County Problem Solving Courts were invited, the health department and the hospital. We had a wonderful discussion identifying what types of treatment and prevention services that we provide to our residents here in Gratiot County. And like I said, MAC was also a part of that. And when we got to the end of that, we felt like this was something that we would like to continue working on together for the board, not in replacement of the board, but bringing this information together, mapping it out and showing you what the county offers to the residents. And what I'm asking of the board is that you would officially name this team as to approve the resource team led by myself to map out these resources for purposes of trying to understand where we could best use our opioid settlement funds. Currently, we're expecting approximately $1.7 million over the next 15 to 18 years from various settlements that we have. At the moment, we have about $212,000 at our disposal. I just wanted to let you know also that one of the allowable uses for that is right off the bat, 15% of the funds that we do receive. There are no specific requirements for it. And, one of the very first things that I thought of is that would be a great funding source to help us with the radios that need to be replaced in the police vehicles. But, that would be at the board's discretion, how we could use that 15%. The other 85% need to be used for opioid remediation, of which a large portion of that needs to be used for future remediation, not for things that have happened in the past here in Gratiot County. So that's what we're gonna try and help map out, is where these funds could best be used in the future. If you have any questions for me, I don't have, I'm not even close to an expert on this yet. In the 3 hours that we did meet, I sure did learn a lot. Even from the sheriff and the battles that he has on a daily basis. So I'll be happy to take any questions from you, but what I would be looking for is a motion to have this resource team work for you, represent.
Is it federal money?
It is private money. It comes from settlements from opioid manufacturers and distributors. We were part of a class action lawsuit where some of these cases are being settled now.
It's been a couple of years. I think, what was it, Mark, the guy on TV was here.
Yeah.
Bernstein was here, and they represented part of this whole action would go against these drug manufacturers. So my question is that I remember when we talked about that the funds would go back to cover some of the costs that it costs our county or whatever, our area, to handle these cases, to handle extra help or whatever it was in the jail or at the hospitals or whatever that was. This was my understanding of some of those funds. And that might be the other 85% of where that goes.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not a complicated formula, but 70% of the funds that need to be used for remediation have to go towards helping provide services in the future.
In the future, okay. So it wasn't really a reimbursement type of thing.
No, it wasn't.
I thought that's how he explained that to us, to help recover some of those costs or something.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's been a couple of years now.
But like, if Chris, if you don't mind an example, like we have somebody that comes in and does assessments in the jail. And this would help fund maybe another person because it's on a very limited basis to help do that somewhat. Or at least a few hours a week to get them in there more.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that could help for the jail.
So do you see this group saying I think you said we have a couple $100,000 right now or something in there. You see this group is sitting down and saying, okay, let's split up the 70% of this is how we think we're going to do it. Or this month we think that the best need is we're going to give X amount of dollars or something.
The goal is for a long-term plan, not something that is gonna need to.
If it's right today and
Right.
change tomorrow.
Right,
So you're looking at just saying, if you have that need, it's another day a week for somebody, it costs this much money, we're gonna try to fund that out for the next 5 years or whatever. I see.
and I can tell you, the people that we listed off in the group, they were not looking for handouts. They were not seeking money for their agencies. They were sincerely looking for ways that we could improve, these resources for everybody in Gratiot County. The Health Department Director, Liz
Reddick.
she was one of the more active participants and she doesn't have any programs that can help us. But she's been through this at Clinton County. So she has a lot of experience in trying to help establish this in Clinton County, Montcalm County. Clinton County had not started it yet. Thank you.
Oh, so, drug rehab. That's what you're talking about,
Well, rehabilitation is one aspect that is an eligible expenditure for this program, but there is education, there is prevention, working with students. There's an enormous list of, like I have probably 6 pages of notes from our meeting.
So what they're looking for tonight is just to be able to continue with this group of people to move on and see how we can be using these funds down the road. That's going to be coming to us for 10, 15 years.
so
Support.
So I moved and supported to continue on with this group that you had mentioned, Chris. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Ready. Angie,
I'm next.
you're next.
So back in, as we're getting prepared for the elections of 2024, one of the things that we have to do is do a 9-day early voting center that I've decided that we're going to try to implement one per county for our county. The cost, I penciled it out at one point, and the 9-day voting is going to cost roughly about $12,000 just for election inspectors, meals and mileage. And so if we asked our townships to do that, they couldn't do it. There's no way. So with that being done, I'm going to need to have equipment that's purchased for the 9-day early voting center, and also our memory cards for February, August and November. I was looking at the price of them in June and they were $64. And then I looked at them last week and they're $80 now. So I'm afraid that everything, because of demand, is going to go high if we don't jump on getting our equipment right now. I don't have anything in my elections budget. It's pretty empty right now because we only had one election. So I'm just asking if I can purchase some equipment this year before demand puts the price up there that it's going to be.
you're talking about all the elections next year, the primary and
Yes, this is the equipment that we will need.
August one and the November.
Yes. This is the equipment that we will need to run it.
The Republican primary and the Democratic primary, are they?
They have not decided that yet.
Okay.
So,
So you're saying you need $32,906.50?
yes. Now that will be, so the legislation has approved $30 million to go to the counties that will help the townships and cities who will join into a contract so that we run this one center. So we will be eligible to hopefully get all of this reimbursed. And if we don't get it reimbursed, the majority, I can actually bill the individual cities and townships and get this money back next year. But they don't have this in their budget this year either. So I don't want to necessarily turn this expense over to them right now. But I can certainly do that in February when we have the primary. If we don't get reimbursed by the state.
Okay, I'd make a motion that we allow our clerk to receive $32,906.50 to buy memory
It's-
cards.
And memory cards, flash drives, a tabulator, and I believe I need 4 ICX.
All those.
Whatever you need, I guess.
This would need to be a budget amendment.
Yeah,
The auditors will be looking for that terminology.
well, come on, general fund.
It will, yes, it will come out of the general fund right now. Normally this would be budgeted for in the next cycle. But because we are seeing the trend in prices, we thought that it would be worthwhile to come and be, like she said, purchase it this year, then have it reimbursed next year.
We have a second to that motion? Moved and supported to do this budget amendment and for the 32,000 for the clerk's office to purchase this equipment this year. Any questions?
Yeah, I do have one. What is a memory card? Is that like a chip? that goes-
So the ICX takes a flash drive that goes in the back that has the program for the election so that you can actually print a ballot out on the printer. So we need to get those memory sticks.
I see. Okay.
All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. You guys will take care of that, get that moved. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any other unfinished business? So we're at to the airport.
Airport lease document. So this will be the second meeting in a row that the airport lease document has been up. Well, the reason that this is in the regular board meeting is because this document needs to be approved by 3 different parties. One being the Gratiot County Board. One being the Airport Authority, which will be meeting here shortly. And the last one being the City of Elm. So what we're looking for tonight is for the Gratiot County Board to approve signing the airport asset lease.
I make a motion that we approve would there be the chair? We signed this lease this evening. That would be the chair. I just saw that in the back. Can't remember who's on the, it would be just Gratiot County and Gratiot, yeah. And so that would be the chairperson, our chairman to sign this.
Be a motion, there's a motion made to sign the airport lease. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and supported to sign the airport county approval, lease approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then the lease and asset transfer agreement. We do that tonight too. We know Elma,
That was the same.
That's the same one.
The same document. So that was what we needed to do in this meeting.
Okay, so the assets are coming with that lease.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you guys meet on that Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
Yeah. All righty, so we're gonna recess and go into the finance meeting.
Yep.
Need a motion to do that?
Motion to adjourn to finance.
Move the support to go into the finance meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
George, our administrator is not here. I think he's up north somewhere, so Chris, I guess you'll start off.
Okay. I'll go ahead and start off with our cash balances for the month of June. The only dip that you'll see is in the delinquent tax fund, and that was due to some additional settlement payments that went out during the month of June. But outside of that, cash balances looked healthy and on normal trend. So if anybody has any questions on that, please let me know. I'll go ahead and give you a moment to review the check register for the month of June. Well, I see that the check register ran
Chart or something.
Just have to link them together.
Yes.
So I had a formatting issue on the check register, and I can bring that up on the screen if you'd like. Would you like me to bring the check register up on the TV screen?
Maybe you can.
Always harder to do stuff under pressure. Looking for the Zoom.
While Chris is doing that, want to go to the revenue report? You got it.
Of course. Got Seville Township Library, TA Cutler Memorial Library. Those would be the distributions of the millage
Those are the distributions for settlement, yeah.
settlement for the millages. Okay. Zervin Brothers excavating the drains.
I have a question for Terry. Terry, RESD had a problem with some of their money. Would that be off now because of the problems with the software?
That was last year.
No, it was just a couple months ago.
We haven't been doing anything with RESD for quite some time. They've been collecting their own.
Yeah, so it's gonna go straight from the townships and cities to the RSD. It doesn't come through the county anymore for their tax millage collection.
We don't handle that.
Okay,
Last year, there was an issue because one of the townships had not made the payment that they needed to make. So that was what that was, but we haven't done anything with them this year.
okay.
So we'll see a lot of big payments to banks in the month of June because it is bond payment time. We'd like to move on to revenue and expenditure report.
Any questions on the checks? Any other questions?
No, I have to tell you, I did not go through them really well, really. And usually there's just, then I couldn't, and I could have took the time to do it, but I'm kind of moving thing right now, so. If I look at something later on, I have a question for you.
Absolutely. I'll just bring it up at the next meeting too.
Oh, okay, thank you.
This sheet right here, the MERS OPEB is up 7.5%. The 7.5%, is that interest?
Okay, that is in the finance report. The OPEB is investments that we have in an investment account.
Like money market?
No, well, it's a combination of stocks, bonds. It's managed by MERS of Michigan. So they're buying and selling.
Stand.
Boy.
Municipal employees retirement system.
So yes, our OPEB trust fund, which is for other post-employment benefits, things such as paying life insurance and health care for former employees. We have $2.2 million invested in that right now. And on the calendar year, that investment is up 7.5%. So that is what you're seeing there.
So I,
Mhm.
the S&P is standard and poor,
Correct.
and that's up 18.2%.
Yep. Yep, I mean, with interest rates going up, inflation going up, they diversify. They didn't have it just in the stock market. So MERS will always have our investments diversified to try and keep our investments steadily climbing.
See,
Correct.
Any other questions for Chris? Alrighty, Terry?
Evening.
Steve,
Submitted my usual reports for bank transfers, investments, and receipts. The investments are coming along nicely, getting a little easier to read. The page is getting shorter, so does anyone have any questions on those at all?
When you're looking at this commercial bank and you got $3.5 million, you gotta look, is that CD rate or?
Yep, commercial bank rate.
But is that with commercial here? I mean, we don't have anything fixed with them or we have something floating with them?
We have, this is an ICS. We have our accounts and then this is an insured cash sweep that has funds.
Oh, okay. They're sweeping from commercial to it or whatever, or from them to commercial?
There, yeah, that's just a savings account. We've got two as well
All right,
that are demand accounts and those are attached to our operating funds,
okay,
the general fund and for the delinquent tax fund.
all right.
But those are, they're investments, but they're not like this one. They're not a savings account. So they're not listed here because they fluctuate all the time. Every night they go back and forth.
Okay.
Okay, no questions on that. Do you want to move on to the next item? The annual delinquent tax revolving fund report that I submitted. There's numbers down in the middle that give the total delinquent fund tax amount. And then the prior year, which is by policy, what we multiply 2.5 times for the coverage balance required, and then the possible available funds is also listed.
I just want to say thank you. I think this is the first time that this has been presented to the board since I've been here.
Absolutely. Does anyone have any questions on?
Where are they at with that rate, Terry? I mean, you know, we looked around, I checked with a couple of counties. I know they're 1.6, 1.7.
Okay.
You said the treasurers or something, try to come up with some rate.
I haven't done anything yet, but I do have a conference in a couple weeks, so I'm sure it'll be a topic of conversation and I'll report back to you on that, Sam.
So this is declaring that there is a surplus in the.
There is excess. Yes, correct.
And if the board were to choose, they could ask to transfer it from the delinquent tax fund to the general fund next fiscal year.
Yes, according to policy, 50% by October 30th, and then the other 50 within the fiscal year at the treasurer's discretion. Yes. I'm assuming if you choose to do that, we'll come up with a number and then we'll talk about that at a later date. Okay.
A couple of weeks, you'll have some type of numbers.
Yeah, the 7th through the 9th, I'm at conference,
Okay.
so.
That'll be before October. So it'll be good. We got this till this October to decide.
Yep, we do. So we've got time, but you and I can
Yep.
talk, or I can let Chris know, whatever you want to do. So,
All righty.
any other questions? Okay, thank you.
All right. Any questions for anybody before we leave this meeting? Need a motion to leave this meeting, go back into the regular one?
So move.
Second.
Move the supported to leave the finance meeting, go back to the regular meeting, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we need to approve to pay the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Support.
Move to pay the bills, supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I didn't hear Tim's eye. Just kidding, it's, never mind.
All righty. Anything else? Any other comments? Anything else from the board? Right, so we're going to adjourn this meeting and then go to an airport authority meeting. Right?
That's what we would do.
Okay, so we need an adjournment for this meeting. I just asked for public
Okay,
comment.
good.
Any other, you got anything out there, Matt?
No.
Yeah. So we'll have an adjournment, move to adjourn.
So move.
Or move the support to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, we're adjourned. Now we're gonna go into, this is the first time we've done this. As you know, when we kind of set this up, the board, the county board will be the airport authority. So we're all gonna serve as board members of this airport authority. If somebody gets beat next year, whatever the election is, they're gonna be in that seat. So it's just your seat, it's not you, I guess. So we'll call this meeting to order. Have a brief public comment. Okay, so We'll have some minutes from
Second.
June 22, yeah, find those. Any questions on the minutes? Need a motion to approve?
So move.
Need a support?
Support it.
Supported to approve the board meetings from June 22nd. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
So the first document that would need to be accepted by this new airport authority board would be the articles of organization. The articles of organization have been amended based on our conversation from the Gratiot County Board 2 weeks ago. If you would review, make sure, ask any questions, make sure that they are the way that you anticipated them being drawn up by accepting the articles of organization. You will be the 5 standing board members for the authority.
I just had a question. We got some of these changes. I didn't look for these changes in my notes. They put the city of Alma has a seat. You made those changes?
Yes, yep. That has been placed in there to allow the authority chair or
And I think we're probably no later than September 1st. We were gonna change that.
Yep, thank you very much. I just got her.
I know, I just had a little note in my changes. Yeah,
I did highlight the changes in here. So we do have the
Okay.
city of Alma shall nominate and hold at a minimum 1 seat
yep,
on the airport advisory board.
September 1. Yeah, that was my change notes. I think that's all I had. Those got done and
Yep, those are the only 2 that I have highlighted there.
so need a motion to approve this.
I'll make a motion.
Or
Move this supported to approve the articles of organization for the airport authority. All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. We're looking at the bylaws, Chris.
Yep, the bylaws, what the bylaws will set up is your individual responsibilities. Some of the changes that you wanted to see from that was that the chairman, vice chairman, and secretary had signed roles transferring over from the Board of Commissioners to the Airport Authority. So I added that language in there. And then under secretary, I defined the secretary as the Gratiot County Clerk. Out of that, there were no objections or suggestions for any of the other bylaws. And so accepting that will,
Okay, so we'll need a motion to accept the bylaws of the authority.
Make a motion, we accept the rules, say it again,
The bylaws of the authority. The airport.
the authority.
or
Moved and supported. Any questions? All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. Right.
the next document that we'll be looking at and reviewing will be the intergovernmental agreement between the Airport Authority and the city of Alma to continue to carry out day-to-day operations. The only change that was made in this is I entered in services will be, or the contract will be through the end of the calendar year.
Right. You're looking at maybe 6 months and it'll be right.
So yes, the goal will be to transfer over those responsibilities at the beginning of the county's fiscal year. But we did work in a little extra time.
Okay, so we need a motion to, this is C5, the intergovernmental agreement services.
support.
Moved and supported to accept the intergovernmental agreement of services. All in favor?
I,
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. And then the last one is the lease asset transfer.
Yep, that's the board approved that, but the airport authority will need to approve it also.
Yeah.
Well, this is the same lease document that we reviewed in the county commissioner meeting. Again, this would be the second of the third approvals that would be for this lease to go into effect.
Want a motion?
We'll need a motion, yeah.
Okay, I make a motion.
Motion has been made to approve the airport lease and asset transfer agreement from to us, the authority. Need a second?
Support.
And moved and supported to accept this. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay, so we do have the airport manager here. That is here. We've met him. I don't know if some of you have met him, Dennis. Maybe if you could just give us a little, for the commissioners who have not met you, just a little brief synopsis of what you do, or?
Well, for our online viewers, we do have a microphone up here that would pick you up.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yep. My name is Dennis McDonald. My son owns 3 Point Aviation. My son is actually the airport manager, and I'm just kind of like the site manager. He flying jets and stuff, so I'm normally here at the airport almost about every day. We do have some employees that watch the airport when I'm not around, and even when I am around, we're mowing and doing some other things at the airport. So he's owned 3 Point Aviation, I think, for it'll be 11 years, and we've been operating 3 Point at the airports for the last 11 years. So, but I thought I'd just come give you a little update. Couple of things we got going on. We have a new fuel farm that's scheduled to be built. We started, got the infrastructure and got some concrete, got the electrical roughed in, got the borings done under the ramp up to the they still got to connect it to the terminal and stuff. They were supposed to set the tanks on July 10th. But the Friday before that got notified that tank company wasn't ready. So now it looks like it's going to be August. So see what the original timeline changes from what it was from before. So we hope that they'll get it done in the timeline that they initially set out, but we're waiting for the Sparling Corp, which is doing the equipment and the tank piece of it. So they can't really move forward with any more electrical until they get all that stuff on site, hook that up. We do have another project that's supposed to fill the cracks, repaint all the striping at the airport. It happens every 3 years. That's through Michigan MDOT. Talked to Wendy from Michigan MDOT just last week, and the funding hasn't come from the government yet. So they can't award the company to come do the work till the funding comes in. So this kind of happened 3 years ago. They got it late in the season. They came and did it, but it was kind of cold weather, and we put down fill the cracks, and they didn't really go into the cracks, and then when we scraped the snow off, it went into the ditch or into the side. So hopefully that money will be coming through and that'll get done, because our striping needs to be done, our lettering needs to be redone. And there's a lot of cracks that need to be filled, just like normal maintenance on roads or whatever. So other than that, those are kind of the couple projects that are going. Since we last met, June 22nd, we've had some activity at the airport. Some jets have been in. We had Growmark was in. Growmark is a cooperative, farmer cooperative. They're tied with GAPS here on Fillmore Road. They bought that in 2018. They come in about quarterly and meet with those people. Growmark is a co-op, but they're in 16 states. So they fly up here at least quarterly to meet with their staff up here and give an update. We had another jet come in, pick up a gentleman from Lakeview. He's retired, but company he used to work for needs help, so he's gonna run a project with him. So they picked him up and took him to Indiana. We had a couple other jets come in, pick some people off, mostly just private stuff. And since the 22nd of June. We've got a lot of people probably to be coming through in the next 10 days. Oshkosh is happening over in Wisconsin, the big fly-in. So we got people from the airport that volunteer all week over there. I think we got 5 that volunteer the whole week, so they'll be leaving probably Thursday or Friday. And then we got a lot of people from the airport that go to the thing, maybe only 1 or 2 days instead of the whole week. But we'll have a lot of planes come through, stop for fuel, that are heading that way, depending on where they come from. Might come from Canada. We've had them as far as way as Maine, and them come across, fly across the lake, go to the sun. So hopefully we'll have some activity from that. From June 24th to July 1, we hardly had any traffic. Smoke from Canada. Visibility was down to less than 2 miles, and hardly any planes flew at the airport or around the area because of smoke. And yesterday we had smoke, which limited a little bit. Today it's a lot nicer, a little clearer and stuff. So you just never know when we're going to have the smoke activity and stuff that could limit activity. Other than that, we do have airport inspection coming up. I haven't got a date yet. It'll probably either be yet here in July or in August. That happens every 3 years. Probably the only thing they're gonna get excited about is still trees on runway 9 and runway 18, which is the north end of, and the west side. We still got trees, not on the airport property, but on private properties. And it'll probably still show up in the report that they need to be taken down, and there's a risk to the flight pattern coming into the airport. Other than that, I don't know if you have any other questions. We've been mowing for a while there. For about 3 weeks, we didn't mow because the grass was completely brown, but we've had a lot of rain recently at the airport, and so everything's cleaned up. You wouldn't even know we had some dry weather there. So
What's the process to take care of those trees? Is that somebody just, they get bids to do that, or?
well, we got to notify that they're on private property, so we got to get some notification to the private property owners. And based on that, we have easements that was taken 50 years ago, so we can take the trees down. Usually it's an issue about, especially if there's a pine tree in their front yard that's too tall. But historically, you can top them depending on the kind of tree. A pine tree, you can top it, it won't grow, but most people don't want to top a pine tree in their front yard, so they normally just take them down. So we got to get notifications to the people that own those properties, and usually we probably have to meet with them. We do have aerial stuff that was done when our airport plan was done. We know the heights of those trees. We know how much roughly they'll grow, which ones will be future issues. We also have the GPS coordinates of all those trees. So when they did the new airport plan, they flew over it with a King Air with $1 million camera on it, and they could took all those photos, and based on that, they know exactly where everything is based on surveys that they set up at the time. So yeah, and of course, trees continue to grow. So the ideal solution is to get them notified, and we'd have to bid to get somebody to take them down, depending on what the homeowner wants to do, or the property owner. Could be to top them or just take the trees down. Normally, that's what you do. Because some trees, if you top them, they just keep growing. So, and then we know how many will be too tall based on the airport improvement plan or flyover. We know which ones will be 3 to 5 years, so it might be a continual issue. But sometimes You just get the trees that are the worst that are in violation and then go from there. So there is two issues around trees. One is state right away. We could bring in some we have all those documents that we could throw up and show you all what is state right away and what is the federal right away, which is a little wider path. So state right away were good, which affects our licensing. But the federal is sometimes they hold up our funding because those key trees aren't cut. So we'll see. It'll be July or August. So I haven't got a date yet, so when they'll be coming. But they have been there and they've flown the drones. They used to use handheld things, and now they come and fly a drone back and forth across what's property and they can
Tell us, we gotta take, these trees gotta come down and.
Yeah.
And then that's when you really start it.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
All right, any questions?
Do you get battles with the landowners about cutting the trees down on private property?
Well, again, the airport authority has easements and everything, so it isn't like we're just going under their property and saying, hey, we want to do this. When they bought the property out there, they bought easements up front so that if we have issues with trees, we can cut those down. So, but we'd have to meet with them. Some understand. Some of it's just woods that there's no buildings or anything around. But if there are trees in your house and stuff around your house or something, then we'll have to meet with them. It's of course it's a danger issue. I mean, it's, we got planes coming in, and if the trees are too tall, and so we'd hate to have a plane go down because of so that's why Michigan MDOT's kind of, it's a hot topic to get trees down, and it's just not us. I mean, every airport struggles with the tree issue, so.
And the jets that fly in there, how big are they?
Usually they're 10 passenger or less. They're business jets, small business jets. The one that came in, there was one that came in, picked a guy up from Lakeview. They couldn't fly into Lakeview, and it was a smaller jet. So I didn't ask them why they couldn't fly in there. It could have been something with the runway, or it could have been something with the length of the runway. So we get about, depending on the year, 50 to 70 jets a year, or what I would call small business jets. We've had some real big ones in there that hold a lot more, but they're kind of rare. So.
I have a question. How about the wind turbines? Is it kind of hard to land late at night with all the lights going on and off?
No, I mean, if it's a jet coming in, they got GPS approaches and stuff. That's what's good about our airport. We got approaches on 3 of the 4 runways, so they come right in. They take them right down to 200 feet. So, and depending on the jet, it might have auto land, but it wouldn't be at our airports. Some jets have auto land, which they'll land the jet without anybody touching. So, but you got to have an ILS system, and we don't have one at this time. So we do have runway lights out on 1836, landing lights. They were out on 927. We had Jay Rico coming. They were backed up, so they couldn't come for like 15 days. They were there the other day. It was a computer board that was damaged. Probably lightning or something came through. So they've ordered, or I think they've ordered it. I haven't heard if they have for sure, but you got to order that board. Don't know what the cost is or anything at this time. But we had them switch the landing lights board from 1836 over to 927. 927 is a 5,000 foot runway. Jets normally land on that. So 1836 has no night landing lights that are automatic that comes on from the airplane. They just click a number of times to do that. But so 927, which is the longer runway, has our landing lights working now, as we switch the boards. So once we get the board in, we'll get that back up. We got to put notices out there, that state that, so. And we have, 927, runway 9, we have PAPI lights, which, are indicators as they come in. The lights turn, different colors, so you know if they're on the right approach. 927 on runway 9 is out. We've ordered parts. I don't know how many. It's been quite a while ago. We ordered parts for that. So we're waiting for that too. And we got notems out on that. So.
Do a lot of planes land at night?
Oh, yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, we got night flights. People, if you're getting your license, for a private light, you got to do so many night landings, night flights. If you're getting your commercial, you got to go on the airlines, you got to have 100 hours flying at night. So it depends on what people are trying to do. We're 50 miles from some other schools. So the one with the cross countries have to be 50 miles. So they might fly to Alma, land, go back home at night. That meets that requirement.
Next big project for your grant, the grant program is the runway lights. So that's the next big.
That's on the grant. That's on the grant funding.
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard you say when you might have got knocked out by lightning, I'm just wondering, will we get insurance on that? I mean, the city of Alma carry insurance? Will we carry insurance? Where's that at?
Yeah, we carry our policies through MRA, and then we have a supplemental policy too that we purchase at the airport authority every year that helps cover extra things beyond the general policy through the city.
And it's hard to tell. I mean, if you hold the board up to the light, you can see 3 little black marks in the board. He goes, well, normally we just say it's lightning, but who knows, they just went out. So at least we're moving ahead. I haven't heard what the cost is and what the timeline is. So, but that was just last week they were there. So we had some little issues with the real lights, and he looked at that at the same time and fixed those. One was needed a fuse, and the other one needed there was a loose connection in the box on it. That was sometimes it worked, sometimes it wouldn't. So, but those are just activated lights that flash real bright at the end of the runways to show. So,
Anything else? Thanks, Dennis.
all right.
Probably don't have any old business since this is our first meeting.
Hey,
You have anything you want to add?
I'd like to ask Eric a question.
Yeah.
Eric, do you fly?
No.
No.
All right. But what Dennis is talking about with the lights, the PAPIs were replaced back in 2010, 11, somewhere in there. Those replaced the SDI at that point. So, but now that technology's moved the way it has, they're telling us our PAPI lights that need to be replaced in the next, 5 years or so. So that will be on your next MAP meeting. I sent Chris over the invite for that with Michigan MDOT. Every year there's a MAP meeting, a master plan meeting that happens for our entitlement dollars that come from the federal government that we save up and pay for these projects. The PAPI lights will need to be added, but the next big one will be the runway lights that Dennis is talking about. Those will be LED, so that'll help with our cost for electricity, those sorts of things, because that does get quite costly actually. But this is one of those things that's just needs to be replaced. So, but yeah, the approaches that Dennis talked about, we're very fortunate of that. We do have GPS coordinates that a lot of airports our size don't have. And our approaches at 200 feet are very low for an airport our size. So those are good things to have. So.
Anything?
Don't know. I think Dennis, was that?
Just, I know you've been working with Bob Buchanan
Yes,
on the next steps. Do you want to go through?
Sure.
From this point forward?
sure. Since the county, as a county, you approved the articles of incorporation, I'm sorry, organization and the bylaws, and then approved the lease and asset agreement. Is when we do that with the city commission on Tuesday of next week, the 25th. Chris and I have sent all that information in to the attorney, and he'll then in turn that over to MDOT Aeronautics, and they'll review that and get back with us and give us their official blessing. If it's anything like last time when we went from the airport commission to the authority, it took about 2 weeks for that to happen. So like I said, through email introduced Betsy Seidel, who's our grant Michigan kind of gatekeeper of all the federal funding coming into the state, and then grant coordinators into each section. She'll be there and introduce Chris through email to Betsy and let them know that we'll soon be changing this over to the county commission, board of commissioners being the authority board and that sort of thing. So they know what's happening and should be a smooth transition. I don't see anything becoming an issue. So is there anything else I should mention, Chris?
I think that's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions, Eric? Thanks, Eric.
Yep.
Any other questions? Any other business we need to conduct? Move for adjournment?
I'll move.
I'll second that.
Adjourn, all in favor?
I'm
Thank you.